Hi, and welcome to the Creative Treehouse. My name is Robin Broom, and I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States. Thanks so much for joining me in the Treehouse today. Today's project is a Christmas card using the triangles, the right angle dies, and we are really trying to give you some tips on making multiples, making the best use of the multiples. For Christmas cards, I definitely make multiples. I usually try to make about 50, and that's the most I usually make of multiples throughout the year, but there are other times, so I just want to give you some tips on how to make, whether you're making Christmas cards or whatever, making the most of your multiples. Now, the easiest way to make the most of your multiples would be to make a fairly simple card, and this is a fairly simple card. We just have 4 of the trees, and let me show you the triangles that I used from the right, those dies, and all the products that I'm talking about I will list in the description underneath the video. If you're viewing on a laptop or computer, you'll be able to see that list, and I will link all of those with the products. If you're watching this during the time that any of these are available, feel free to access that and order whatever floats your boat. So here are the 3 trees, or 3 trees. If they are trees, we're going to turn them into trees. These 3 triangles. I believe there's a smaller one than this, and so the next to the smallest on up, these 3 are the ones that I chose for this particular project. And then I also used an embossing folder. It's actually a set of embossing folders, and these come from it's called the Wrapped in Texture embossing folders, and they're a set of 2, and you can use them in the mini machine, and it comes from the catalog, the mini catalog. That's the August-December 2020, so it's about to expire, because as I'm doing this video, it's the beginning of December 2020, so you just have a few more weeks to access things from that catalog. And these are great. I love the textures in them, very subtle. And I used Pretty Peacock, and I used Garden Green, and I used each of these. This particular triangle is going to be towards the back, and so it's a little bit more intricate, more close together, so I thought it helped with the illusion of that tree being further back. So now let me tell you the dimensions of the card pieces. And we've got the Night of Navy, and then I have scored it at 4 1/4. It is the 8.5 by 5 1/4 scored at 4 1/4. And then we've got the copper foil, and the copper foil sheet is 1/4 inch smaller, and so it is 5 1/4 by 4. And then the Whisper White is 3/16 smaller than that, and so it is 5 1/16 by 3 13/16, which to me is a little bit hard to remember, and so I just remember that it's 3/16 smaller on both sides than the copper foil. All right, so here let's start with our Whisper White piece, and we'll get out all of our trees. Now our tree pieces are triangles. I've already cut them out. These 2, the largest one and the smallest one, are cut from the Brightly Gleaming Designer Series paper, and that again is it's a favorite, a returning favorite that they put in this year's catalog. I'm so excited. I've bought more, and I still need to buy more because I'm just using it all up. I love it. All right, and then we have I've already mentioned the Garden Green and the Pretty Peacock as our trees. And one of the neat tips that I have, if you don't own a Stamparatus, I highly recommend a Stamparatus. Reason being, for multiples, for anytime you ever you get your sentiment crooked or something crooked, this will save you from that. It's just awesome. Okay, I'm going to stick my paper here. I've already taken a scrap piece, and I've worked on it to decide exactly where it needs to be. I do not have any of the magnets that are on the back adhered to this, because this just worked out perfectly to be right against the corners. So I did not secure it with any of the magnets. Now this worked out great. If for some reason it did not and I need some more ink, I would just ink it up and reapply because it's in the exact same spot so that you can get it as dark as that you would like to. So that is the Stamparatus. It has this will move and go into the different hinges so that I could make my sentiments go all the way down here. It has another plate and you can do other things with that. It is a wonderful tool. I highly recommend it. It works great for multiples. All right, now that I've got the Whisper White with my sentiment, the next thing that I do is I kind of align my trees the way I would like them to be. And like I said, I'm going to put the Pretty Peacock kind of in the back. And I want these like that. See where one of the tricks is to make sure that this one does not cover up the sentiment. And once you've got it the way that you like it, I'm gonna slide my big one over a little bit. Then I kind of hold them with my fingers and I pull out the back one. And I'm going to take my liquid glue, put a little liquid glue on it, and tuck it back in. All right, once it's adhered, I'm going to actually pull this one away, and I'm going to do the same with the largest of the trees. Woo, got a little bit too much glue on there. See if I can spread it out. Okay, and then I'm going to tuck this one under as well. I think I'm going to slide it over to the left just a little bit. That's the nice thing about the liquid glue. All right, and then these other two, what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip them over and I'm going to put dimensionals on them, which just adds just a little bit of pop. It makes them appear to be in a forest and towards the front of the forest. I'll use the mini dimensionals on the small tree, and I'll use regular dimensions on the medium-sized tree. That'll be on the left. Let me pull off the backings, and then we'll adhere this one down and this one down. And the nice thing about these, running them through the embossing folder, is that you can run, after you've cut a bunch of them, you can run a bunch of them through the embossing folder at the same time. And let me show you what I mean, so that you can just set them like that, and you can run multiples. If you used a great big folder, you can even put more of the triangles through there. All right, so now we have that. The next thing we need to do is we need to adhere the Whisper White piece to our copper foil. And again, I really like the liquid glue. There's our copper foil. And then this now goes on to the Night of Navy card base. Now I have inside sentiment that I'm not using here, but you guys can use whatever sentiment you choose. But now our card is complete. And it didn't take very long, so you can just be like an assembly line and do multiples and make the very most of your multiples. So there's the project for today. I hope you enjoyed watching it. And remember, the products that I used, I'll put into the description underneath the video. And I would love it if you would comment, tell me some of your tips for making the best use of multiples. And also, please subscribe to my channel. And I will see you next time in the treehouse. Bye-bye.